the job here is that you have to go in that room with that desk and post some comedy shows and some award shows and some other stuff. I say, I'm going to be honest with you. I know my way around, but that's a little bit out of my league, I mean, I'll do whatever you want me to do, but that's the job. I need somebody to. So I was honest. I wasn't ready to do something like that. I was just out of college.
Well, at that level, if you're not, you can really be hung up.
Listen, I didn't want to, screw up my relationship with my girlfriend and her dad and everything. So who's this guy you recommended? I thought he was. So I just went back to doing live sound, and I kind of gave up my ambition to be a recording engineer. But then I was really good at doing live sound, and then I started getting a little bit of a reputation. And for the first 8 years, I only did black music, R&B. I did every black act you've done. I was telling you before, my first tour was Kool and the Gang.
Yeah.
And they're racist as hell. They don't like white people. But that's just, back when JT was singing.
But you had the fro.
Well, and I worked really hard.
Yep.
And then after about 7 months or so, they were like, they started calling me Pygmy. And I said, what are you calling me Pygmy for? I said, well, you're the littlest black man we know. Because I worked really hard, and I hung out with them, and they respected me because I earned it.
But you earned it, yeah.
That's it. But I did everybody from the OJs. I mixed the Temptations 1,000 times. I mean, everybody from Evelyn Champagne King to Tavares, not really, on the East Coast, but mainly, the Gap Band, Rogers, Zapp, all kind. I mean, I did James Brown. I mixed James Brown before.
Who's the laid-back, coolest? Just you wouldn't even know they're a rock star type people.
To me, like how they treated me. Well, I worked for Laura Branigan for a couple of years. I was the production manager, and I also mixed monitors. And I got along famously with her. She was just like one of the guys, and she was hilarious. We used to have so much fun.
Yeah.
And, when she died, I was pretty sad. I got the phone call the next day.
Yeah.
And she was good. She was special.
Yeah.
5-octave range. I worked for like 5 triple platinum women singers in my life.
Name some.
Well, I started working for Whitney Houston when she first came out. I did her first 15 or so shows. They were called coming out type shows. And I got friendly with her dad, and her dad liked me a lot. John Houston. He was the city planner in Newark, New Jersey. And her tour manager, production manager, was an old friend of mine. So I did monitors the first couple of times, and then I moved to front of house. And so I mixed her at Carnegie Hall. I mixed a bunch. I mixed her at Clive Davis's record party out in L.A., which is a big thing for artists when they play his record release type. He has a big party out there at the Century Plaza Hotel. And then I worked for Anita Baker, which I don't really want to talk about because that was pretty much a black era. Yeah. I only did 6 months there because she was in mental case. But
really?
She was an amazing singer. Amazing.
Well, sometimes that talent is.
And then I worked with Celine Dion off and on for like 15 years.
Yeah.
I worked for Celine directly for 6 years, and then I worked for the hotel. But I still worked doing her show. And
so that was the thing too. So then the Vegas world.
Yeah. So I spent about maybe 10 years on the road, traveling around the world, and then after I did R&B music, I hooked up with these guys from a company in Hollywood, California. I did an Everly Brothers show in Maryland, and I became friendly with these guys from this company. Everyone was a freelancer, but the company was based in Hollywood, and they did all the Vegas acts. They had an office in Vegas. So they said, you got to come work with us, And so I left the company I was working for, and I became a freelancer. So I was waiting for them to call me to give me a tour, and the first one was Paul Anka, of all people. And Paul was a notorious asshole. But I got along fine with him. I spent a year and a half there. He treated me fine. The only reason I left is he didn't want to give me any more money. I said, well, I think I deserve more money, and if you're not going to give it to me, I'll go elsewhere. But when I, moved to Vegas, Paul lived in Vegas. The company was there. So me and my partner moved out to Vegas. And we lived in the owner's condo for a while till we could find our own places. And then I just, and when I was working for Anchor in 1988, my dad died here. He got in a car accident. He was coming home from work at Electric Boat, and he just kind of I think he had a stroke. He just veered off into the oncoming lane of traffic, and he died. He was only 56, so that shook me up pretty bad. So I was done kind of partying my way around the world, and I realized what family meant to me. You know, my big Italian family came around me, and so I said, I want to get off the road and start a family, because I had plenty of girlfriends, like in different parts of the country. I had a Hawaiian girlfriend there's a stewardess for American Airlines. She used to fly wherever I was, you know. But I said, I can't settle down if I'm traveling like that. Yeah. I know a lot of my friends. Divorce rate in my business is 60%, 70%. So I stayed home and I started running the company with my partner that we were working with, you know. And I met my wife, and then I had 2 kids. But in the meantime, my wife and his fiance didn't get along really well, and it kind of screwed our relationship up. So I left. Then I went to work for the Stagehand Union. I was working at Bally's for a while. Yep. And then this job at Caesar's Palace came up mixing David Copperfield. And they called me and said, "Can you come in and do this tonight?" Yeah, all right. So I went down at, remember, it was Tuesday in October of 1991. And I sat in the dressing room and I watched the tape of the show. It was like a 2-hour show, and there was a lot of cues. You had open reel decks with the name of the illusion on the leader. Yeah. You had like a keyboard you had to play these sound effects on. You had a lavalier microphone on. I had some feeds to his little magic people, little wireless buds that he could talk to them, and some backup stuff on CDs. And so he wanted to come into the audience and make it really loud. It had to be really loud when the music had to be really loud. Yeah. And the guy that was doing it was just to get so frustrated and angry that he would quit. And finally they said, "Listen, you're not getting your keys back." So they asked me, "Can you do it?" I said, "Okay." So the first thing I did is went out there and I rang out his microphone so it could be excruciatingly loud with the music, really loud. But the music was all over the place. I said, "Can I cut this tape? I mean, it's all different, levels and all different. It's grabbed from different sources." "Oh, no, because we use these tapes when we go on the road, too. You just have to fast forward. One is playing, and then you fast forward the other one to the next illusion." So I had, back in the days of old analog console, I had to make little marks on the desk with little colored dots I used to carry in my briefcase. And every time there was like a slow song or a fast song, I just make fader changes. So when I was ready to play the song, the faders it was going to come up with, I could set it already. It just gave me the consistency. So no matter what deck I was playing, it all sounded the same volume level, basically the same quality. Then I had to twist on the knobs to do that. They thought that was some kind of voodoo magic. I'm like,
magic.
What?
The magic guy.
It's just. What do you mean? The other guy.
Say abracadabra. Say abracadabra when you like
the other guy used to go freak out, and David would yell at him every night, and people would be going like this, and then how did you make it so that the music was really loud, but you could hear David? I was like, it's just a piece of equipment. Can you stay? Yeah, sure. I mean, I had one kid on the way, and one kid I already had. I needed the steady job and the health insurance, and I never left for 33 years.
And that was at
Caesar's Palace. Yeah, I started in the old showroom where Frank Sinatra used to play, and I worked in it about 9 years, from 91 till 2000. Then they tore the whole place down, and there was no work. So I went back on the road a little bit, and I did a little tour with the Everly Brothers, and I did a lot of television. I used to do a lot of HBO Sports with a friend of mine. We used to do a lot of audio over digital phone lines when it first started. Yep. So I learned how to do that. And then they were building a new theater, which was not many people knew, but I knew. So Celine, I worked in the old showroom with me. I worked with her a couple times, and his people liked me, and I liked them. So when they started this big show in Vegas in 2001, they asked me to be a part of it. And I said, sure. So I went back to the Caesars. They wanted me to come back to the hotel anyways, but I worked directly for Celine. So I did that. The show ran for 6-7 years. It was called A New Day. It was a big show, $145 million show.
Yeah, unbelievable how long those shows go, because it's a new crowd every weekend.
And originally we were doing 40 weeks a year. The first few years, that was just a pace nobody could keep up with.
Yeah.
Then we brought Elton John in to do a dozen weeks, so I did that. And any show that was in there, I was had to be there.
How was he to work with?
Elton was great. He can be
Seems to be every.
he can be quite a queen when he wants to be, but
Yeah.
for the most part, he's hilarious. He
Yep.
really is. He's a funny, very jovial, very giving guy.
Yep.
He's I get along fine. I mean, the stuff we do in the afternoon for sound checks is like sometimes we just throw a CD and burn it just so we'd have it, because he'd say some. He used to do these little ditties at the piano, and he'd talk about David Bowie and Mick Jagger and Rod Stewart sticking stuff of his bum, and he's like, what the fuck is he talking about? So Elton was a good dude, but and then I did every show at Caesars up until I retired last June. So
Yeah, boy, I'll tell you, and you just get to run into so many people, but everything came down to, like you said, family, finding a place to be a home, and how to find it a home and being able to stay.
And I have two daughters, 33 and 31, and they don't call me by my first name like most of my friends' kids do, because they don't know their father.
Yeah.
They know him as Joe. Hi, Joe, because he was never there.
Yeah.
Jerry Seinfeld used to do a joke, and he used to say, "Oh, Mom, the guy who gives the piggyback rides is here. Do we need anything?" The horsey rides, because Jerry's was never there, you know? So I didn't want to be that kind of dad. So I stayed home, and then I actually, to be honest, I still traveled a little bit. When my first daughter was born, I worked for Brannigan. I did a few other things for the company that I didn't trust anybody else to do. I used to work for Doc Severinsen for a little while. He was a lot of fun. He used to have a jazz band called Zebron. Nobody really knew. They used to play all kind of great gigs. And it was like a 5-piece fusion jazz band.
Yeah.
And then I also did the big band, the Tonight Show band, and that was always pretty fun.
That's cool.
And I had a couple of. I had Gladys Knight was one of my accounts. So I went out and did Gladys. I did Smokey was one of my accounts. Smokey Robinson.
Yeah.
I always went out and I took care of that account.
You don't have to add Robinson. Smokey was at
those
That or the beer, one of the two.
I didn't think it was the beer.
to keep those accounts, I didn't trust anyone. I went out and did them, and then I pay myself, and then I make the commission on the rentals and all that too. Because I was running the rental department. And so I still did a little bit of travel, but then I kind of shut it down. When I started working at Caesars, I couldn't really do it anymore. But I didn't need to. I mean, I was busy enough there.
Yeah. Anything left on your list of things that you'd like to do? Yeah. Sorry, Tony, go ahead.
I was just going to say, well, what are you...
In the business?
In the business or in life?
And the business, no, I'm pretty much done. And, I tell people I really don't miss it. I went to, you guys know the NAMM convention?
Yeah.
I went to the NAMM convention last year because some friends of mine were sales reps for Adamson Speakers. And she said, come on down, stay in the condo with us. Her husband's from Riverside. His dad used to teach at Martin Middle School.
All right, these connections.
Yeah, so it's really weird. And I didn't know, I'd known her for 40 years, and him I just met 10 years ago. And she married him. I'm like, what are you doing in East Providence? She said, my boyfriend's from there. I said, you're kidding me. So I went to NAMM. I just retired that previous June. I went to NAMM, I guess it was in November? I can't remember. Because a friend of mine was getting one of these Lifetime Achievement Awards, the Parnelli Awards. It's like the Oscars of our business, And he's an old-time rigger, and he's the first guys to fly speakers and lights over everybody's head with chain motors. And so I went there to represent, for Las Vegas, because he lives in Vegas. I went on the show floor just to go run and walk around, and then I saw all my old buddies. And they all knew I retired. I said, how do you know I retired? It's a small business. We all know. Yeah. And so I saw so many people that I knew that I hadn't seen in years, from the road and from doing, business. I realized I don't miss the business. I miss the people.
Yeah.
It's the people.
I'd imagine,
And then they're not friends like I have, like Ted, or like people that I went to high school with. Those are friends. They're my acquaintances, but you still get close enough that you go through some shit on the road, and then you do become pretty close. But you don't see them that often.
Mm-hmm.
I miss the people, but I don't really miss. I've done enough. It's just the music business is not what it used to be.
Yeah.
It is not anywhere near it. It's not about music
flooded
anymore.
With so much. Yeah, I was going to say, it's not about music. It's flooded with so many other things.
You hit go, and then some guys go like this and play along, and you don't even